the last topic that we're going to speak about today is on Olympiads. And so let me spotlight the speakers real quick. Um, so yeah, we'll all be speaking about Olympiads. We were all Stanford and MIT admits, and so each of us specialized in a certain topic within Olympiad. So for me, that was computing Olympiad. I was a USICO finalist as well as a USIFO gold medalist. For Chris, he did physics Olympiads, and so he was a member of the 2023 US physics team. He was a 2 times USIFO gold medalist, which means he was ranked top 40 in the entire country, and he was also a JMO qualifier as well as a USICO gold division participant. And then finally, Olivia, she was a math Olympiad person, and so she qualified for USIMO/JMO 4 times, and she was also a 2 times ARML team champion. And so today we'll be presenting to you our take on Olympiads, as well as how to respond to some essays like MIT and Stanford, which all three of us were able to be admitted to. So I'll hand it over to Christopher to talk about why Olympiads.
Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you guys have the burning question right now: should I do Olympiads, or how should I know whether I should pursue Olympiads in high school? And before going into Olympiads, you should know that Olympiads require a lot of time and commitment, and succeeding in Olympiads is no easy feat. But one of the most important driving factors for success in Olympiads is passion. And I know it sounds very cliche, but finding the thing that you enjoy, finding the subject that you enjoy, and working at it, working in that competitive space can really bring you very far. And passion is not necessarily natural or intrinsic to you. You're not necessarily born with it. When I started doing physics Olympiad, I wasn't like, oh my God, I love physics. It was more of I did physics for a year or so, and then I realized, oh wow, this subject is kind of interesting. And as I delved more into it, I fell in love with it even more. So, I mean, in terms of pursuing these Olympiads, sometimes it's about trying it out and seeing if you like it, sticking with it for a bit. And if you really hate it, then maybe backing out. But passion is not like at first sight, you know? And then without passion, though, burnout is a common thing that happens. If you don't have the passion to push forward in your Olympiad career, there's a lot of loss of motivation to put in the necessary amount of time to succeed, and eventually ending up in not very great results. So these are some things you should look out for before going into Olympiads.
Yeah, and Olivia will talk about why Olympiads. I realize I just skipped a slide, but I'll hand it over to Olivia now.
Yeah, and so building off of what Chris said, why should you compete in Olympiads? Well, a lot of colleges in the college application process look for high achieving students, so students who not only excel academically, but also have a lot of intellectual curiosity. And so competing in Olympiads is a great way to demonstrate that you do have a high level of academic achievement, and that you're also willing to challenge yourself in one academic field. And so outside of these awards and honors that you'll gain from Olympiads, you also learn a lot of very valuable lessons that'll help you just in school and beyond. For example, you'll learn a lot about the process of learning how to learn, how to be efficient, how to think deeply about challenging problems, which will help you not only in school and your classes, but also just in college and beyond. And I think another very meaningful part of Olympiads is the community that comes with it. And so for me, forming study groups, leading math clubs and organizations, and attending math programs, I met a lot of very amazing people who are just as excited about math as me. And so these relationships that you make through Olympiads are very valuable, because you have these people who push you to achieve higher and learn together. And also you'll have these relationships throughout high school and college and beyond.
And adding on to what Olivia said about the how Olympiads show academic excellence. So as you can see here, we're showing the ladders of the math, physics, and computing Olympiad. So you can see, for example, for math, you start off with AMC, and then you gradually go up to USIMO, then MOP, then IMO. Similar ladder for physics, you start with F equals MA, and then you become a semifinalist, join the US physics team, and then make the international team. And then for computing Olympiad, there's 4 tiers: platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. And then you can make the camp and then the IOI team. So regarding academic excellence, you can see that all of these different tiers, the number decreases exponentially. So it decreases about 10 times less every step you go up. And so people often ask, like, what should I put this Olympiad award on my application? And I think the general answer is, if it's less than 1,000 people or less than 500 people, that's generally worth putting on. So for USICO, for example, like anything gold or above generally holds some weight in the application process. For physics, that's semi-finalist or above. And then for math, that would be USMO or JMO and above. And so for us, for example, Olivia was a USMO qualifier and JMO qualifier, and she was up here. Chris was a US physics team member, and I was a finalist. And so you can see how that correlates over to our application and how we were able to, I think that was a factor as to why we were able to get into some colleges like MIT and Stanford. And so besides just the actual competition, just doing Olympiads is probably not enough. You do have to develop yourself and develop your extracurriculars beyond just the sole competition, just the sole fact of winning or ranking nationally on a leaderboard. And so there are a couple of activities. The first one is tutoring and teaching classes. This is a great way to earn volunteer hours and get PVSA awards. For me personally, I did tutor people as part of a nonprofit, and I was able to lead this nonprofit eventually with some of my Olympiad friends. So that's how I was able to show my volunteer experience.
Adding on to what Joe said, teaching is just a great way to share what you've learned with the community. And so for me, I spent a lot of time helping coach my middle school's math counts team. And I think teaching just is a really great way to not only earn volunteer hours, but also to get better at whatever subject it is that you're pursuing. People say that the best way to learn is to teach. And I think that's really true. It's helped me reinforce a lot of what I've learned, and also just helped me become a better communicator.
And for the second extracurricular, we have organizing competitions, local competitions like the Harker Math, Physics, and Programming Invitationals, which between these three, me and Olivia ran all of them. And then also writing Olympiad problems. So for example, proposing problems to USCO. And so, like I mentioned, for me personally, I was leading the Harker Programming and Physics Invitationals. And then I also wrote a problem that was part of the USCO Gold Contest, I think in 2022 or 2023.
A very meaningful experience for me in high school was also organizing the Harvard Math Invitational. And so that involved a lot of problem writing, test solving, coordinating logistics, and a lot more. And I think it was very meaningful for me because I got to work with a lot of other people who were excited about math, both at my school and just around the country. And so that's taught me a lot about the community and also about leadership, which I was able to express in my college application essays as well.
Yeah. So for me, I participated. I founded my school's annual math tournament called BIFMT, and hosting tournaments in addition to supplementing your college apps and proving that you're an active member of your community. Hosting these tournaments can also benefit you in your actual Olympiad experience. So besides adding to your resume, it also gives you some experience in the problem writer's shoes. Right? So when you're actually competing, when you're able to have that problem writer logic, I find personally that it really helps you in solving Olympiad problems much faster, much more efficiently, and arriving to the correct, most efficient solution much faster. So that's something else to think about. Just for these extracurriculars, besides just adding to your resume, it also benefits you in a level, I guess, outside of that. Yeah.
And for the third extracurricular, it's school clubs. So for me, that was Harker Programming and Physics Club. I was the president of both of those clubs. And then also, I think another advantage of school clubs is this is where you're able to show your leadership opportunity. So for these clubs, they were all Olympiad related clubs. And so if you're doing Olympiads and think you're lacking like this leadership aspect that a lot of colleges look for, I think school clubs are a great way to show that aspect of your character. And then the third aspect of school clubs is that you can really build a very close relationship with the advisor of that club. And as a result of that, you can ask your club advisor to write you an amazing recommendation letter because they saw how hard you worked to make this club a better force in your community.
In high school, I was really involved with my school's math club, and so I led a lot of initiatives across campuses in coaching both the high school and middle school teams in competitions across the country and just hosting a lot of different activities on campus. And so I think overall getting involved in the Olympiad community, starting with your school, is a really great way to show community involvement, like Joe said, beyond just winning awards.
Yeah, and for me, I was the founder of my school's physics, computer science, and math club. And clubs, again, in addition to benefiting your resume for college applications, through clubs, you're able to find a lot of like-minded people who you vibe with and who you can grow with, people with shared interests. And I find it a lot easier to grind and succeed in Olympiads when you're surrounded by these people who share common passion with you. And just to call back to the should I do Olympiad slide, talking about passion, it's much easier to maintain a passion when you have people around you who share these interests and who are willing to push you further in these Olympiads, and also other clubs that you want to start. So passions just exponentiate in club environments and also prevent you from burning out and getting you further in Olympiads.
So now we'll talk about some summer camp and research opportunities. I think a lot of people think that if you do Olympiads, you might be at a disadvantage. And in some cases that may be true, but it definitely is possible to get into some very prestigious and also very impactful just for your own experience. You're able to get into some of these summer camps, even if you're someone who wants to focus on Olympiad. So for computer science, there are very few camps that are just CS. The camps that are listed here are more general, but you can see some of these camps. And for me personally, I was doing Princeton LLP, and that was super helpful just for my personal interest in CS because I was able to work on some, I think, impactful research and also develop a close relationship with my Princeton mentor.
There are also a lot of really amazing math summer programs out there, which are all great ways to spend your summer diving into a subject in math. So, for example, the Ross and Promise programs focus on number theory, while at the Stanford Math Camp, you can choose to pursue either abstract algebra or algebraic topology. And so the benefit of these camps is that you really have a few weeks where you can immerse yourself in math, develop your problem-solving skills, which in turn will help you with Olympiads. You can also get a peek into what doing math research looks like. In one of these camps, you'll have the opportunity to work on a research project over the summer. And then you also have the chance to build a network with your peers and your professors. And so, again, this is a great way to get a letter of recommendation because your professor can add the very powerful perspective of what you are as a researcher or as a student at the program.
Yeah, and then for physics, there's a few physics targeted programs, including ISSYP, YSPA, SSP, etc. I personally did not participate in any of these physics targeted programs, but I did participate in RMP, or the Research Mentorship Program, which is listed under CS, but those aren't solely CS focused. And even though I didn't do physics research there, it was a research mentorship program. I found it like a very helpful experience to experience what college life is like, independence, living away from your parents, and also finding out how you're going to manage your time when you don't have your parents around you, or when you're on your own, essentially. And also these camps, a lot of them, especially these research programs, they allow you to explore the subjects you love through a different lens, especially if you have been into Olympiads for a lot of your high school career. Investigating these subjects through the research lens gives you an introduction into what college research looks like and what academia can look like in the future, if those are fields you want to pursue. So these camps are very helpful. Yeah.
And now we're going to talk about how you can incorporate Olympiads into your essays. I think just to preface this, of course, I don't think Olympiads should be the primary focus of all of your essays, and I think Olivia and Chris both agree with me. However, it is still like because it was such an important part of our lives, it's still important to mention Olympiads in your essays. So first up, we're gonna have Chris talking about the why major essay.
Yeah, so the why major essay, probably one of the most common, infamous essay topics, it essentially asks, it's the college asking you why you chose why you chose to study the specific major at this specific college. So in the strongest applications, I believe that you want to show that you have developed an interest for a certain subject, that subject that you're majoring in, and then you want to show that you have acted on this interest for this certain subject throughout your high school career, and then show that you plan to continue to foster this interest and this passion in college. So Olympiads are super useful in the second part of that three-part series, where you use Olympiads to prove that you have explored the subject and explored your interest in the subject throughout high school. So at least for me, for the MIT essay, tell us more about why this field of study at MIT appeals to you. I first talked about my interest in physics, why it appeals to me. And then I talked about my Olympiad physics career, what I did, how I did in it. And then I went on to describe how I would continue my passion for physics in college, whether it was talking to professors about specific research topics or participating in certain physics classes. And if you succeed in Olympiads, especially, if you're able to get results in your Olympiads, the second part can be really strong, showing that you have achieved a lot in this section and that you have explored this passion thoroughly. So that's why Olympiads can really benefit you in this section.
And so next I'll talk a little bit about the intellectual vitality essay, which is another very, very common college essay question that asks you about an academic experience that you enjoyed or about what sparks your curiosity. And so like Reshma mentioned earlier, a lot of colleges, they really want students who love learning, are very curious about a subject, and are very dedicated to learning. And so, for example, the Stanford website says that we want to see the kind of curiosity and enthusiasm that will allow you to spark a lively discussion in a seminar. And so they really just want to see students who are very excited about any academic subject. And so these essays are a great place where you can showcase that intellectual curiosity as well as something really cool that you've learned. And so the UC application gives you the chance to describe how you have furthered an academic interest inside and or outside the classroom. And so here they just want to see what you've done, what steps you've done to proactively engage in your academic interest. And so through participating in Olympiads, you've already dedicated a lot of time to pursuing any subject, whether it's math, physics, programming, or whatever else it may be. And so this essay is a great place to showcase that. And so in my application, I wrote about how, for me, math Olympiads and competitions were an amazing platform for me to learn more about advanced math and challenge myself, as well as how I was able to take a lot of what I've learned and share that beyond competitions. And so the Stanford application also asks about a time when you were genuinely excited about learning. And so this essay is really, really important because Stanford in particular really values that intellectual vitality. And so in the process of training for Olympiads, especially if you have a passion for whatever subject it is that you're pursuing, you will have, of course, encountered a lot of very exciting ideas or proofs or concepts. And so this is a great place to describe what you've learned and why it excites you. So for me, this essay was a lot of fun to write because I got to explain a lot of very cool math concepts that I've learned and how I was able to find connections between them.
And finally, we have the community essays. And I think a lot of colleges will ask questions about how you were contributing to your community throughout your high school career. And so this is why the slide about Olympiad-related extracurriculars is so important, because for these community essays, if you are someone who only did Olympiads, just doing the competition, it's very difficult to write about how you were contributing to the community through that, because it's Olympiads by itself is just a one-person activity. And so going back to those Olympiad-related extracurriculars, things like starting a club, things like tutoring and giving back to your community, for example, or writing problems for national Olympiads. These are all examples where you can use that and talk about how you contributed to the community through that extracurricular. So we can just look at some examples. MIT asks for how did you collaborate with others to contribute to your community? The Common App essay, there's a prompt that asks about how you have a background and how that would be, if you did not include that background, your story would be incomplete. And for UT Austin, they talk about how you were involved in leadership activities and how you impacted people both in and outside the classroom. And so for these essays, uh, if you're somebody who just focused in Olympiads, it is still possible to contribute, to write a compelling essay and in response to all of these questions. So for me, I talked a lot about how I was tutoring people, just trying to give back to the community with all the knowledge that I gained throughout the years. And I also talked about how I was involved in organizing competitions, because those competitions really inspired me to continue that subject further. And also that these communities that I took part in as a middle school student, they allowed me to meet so many new people and really build a very strong network. And so these are all ways where you can, if you're somebody who wants to dedicate themselves to Olympiads, it's still possible to write very compelling essays that are related to Olympiads if you develop your profile and your extracurriculars around an Olympiad related topic. And so that's all for our presentation today. I hope the audience took away something from our Olympiads presentation. And just to reiterate, me, Chris, and Olivia would love to talk to you guys in the future about, anything that you have questions about, whether it's Olympiads, college applications, just navigating the difficult high school process and journey. Feel free to go to luminarcentral.com and sign up for a one-on-one meeting with us there. And so just as before we conclude the speaker event for today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what Luminar Central offers and how you can use this to your advantage. So all of the speakers today are on this flyer here. You can look at their profile. You can see what kind of how your profile matches to them and schedule a one-on-one meeting with them, because I hope all of you guys took away some advice from them today as they were giving their speaker event. And if you still have more questions, you can go ahead and talk to them in the future. And we talked a lot about college applications today. It's not just college applications that we want to be able to help you with. There's a lot of just like challenges and competitions that you'll encounter throughout your high school journey that we want to be able to mentor you in. So high school mentorship, college application support, whatever questions you have, we'll be there and answer it for you. And finally, a lot of the consultants offer 15-minute consultations. So you don't have to pay upfront. You have an opportunity to present what kind of needs you have, as well as understand who we are, and we'll also give an introduction of ourselves as well. So this is kind of an opportunity for you to meet us and better understand us before scheduling a full 1-hour session with us. And so now I'll talk a little bit about how to actually navigate the website and use all of these resources to your advantage. So if you look at my screen here, I'm going to navigate to our website, and you can see that there's a lot of mentors on our website. So if you click on choose a mentor, you see their high school profile as well as the services that they offer. So for example, first up is Aiden. You can select any of the services that he offers, whether it's essay editing, or one-on-one mentorship, and you can add that to your cart if you want to, like I just did. And as you scroll down, you'll see other mentors like Mihiko, who was a RSI scholar. And as you scroll down, you can see all of these different mentors from a huge range of backgrounds. So whatever fits your need, you can schedule a session with them and have them help you. And so I think the importance is you can see what their profile is. You can schedule a free consultation with a lot of them and just try to understand whether they can help you or not, and help you with your high school journey as well as your college application. So now I'll hand it over to Aiden, who will speak a little bit more about this.
Yep. Just give me a second as I share my screen again. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to talk about one more thing, which is just like you should be in your colleges, finding the right fit. So I just pulled up Reshma and Kabir here on the screen. And as we can see, we have two very different profiles. We have Reshma, who won ISEF, CSEF, and a lot of science fairs. And on the right, we have Kabir, who is more of a debater. Now, if I was a debater, I would probably choose Kabir, kind of straightforward. Whereas if I was more into biology and biomedical, the biomedical field, I would choose Reshma. So this is a very simplified example, but essentially what I'm trying to say here is please try to find your right fit when choosing a mentor. All of our mentors are in the top universities in the country, in the top of their fields, very passionate about what they do. And so you can't go wrong with either one. So make sure you choose someone who aligns with your interests as a student. Now, that's not to say that you can't go with both Reshma and Kabir if you're into biology and debate. You can always book sessions with multiple people. You can book free consultations to see who would be a good fit for you so that you have a perfect companion for your entire high school and eventually your college application journey. So I can't emphasize this enough. Make sure to find the right fit for your personality. Don't just go based off of what schools they were admitted to.
And finally, thank you so much for listening, everyone. All of the speakers here, thank you so much for speaking and contributing your advice to everyone. And I hope the audience took away something from this. If you have any questions, feel free to email luminarcentral@gmail.com. And you can also book a one-on-one meeting with us at luminarcentral.com. And so thank you so much for coming, everyone. I hope to see you guys in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, for those of you who are still in the meeting, I'm going to close the meeting now, but if you have any questions, just go to our website, email us at luminarcentral@gmail.com, and thank you so much for coming, everyone. I'll see you guys next time.